Good morning. We welcome you to the 26th anniversary of the Petersheim Academic Expo at Seton Hall University in the wonderful village of South Orange, New Jersey. This is an annual presentation that we do, which is dedicated to looking at the experience of our first year students, and we call it the First Year Symposium. We've gathered up a number of students from across the wide spectrum of students who do enter the university. We are very much interested in knowing what their first year experience is like. We'll say on the academic level, the social levels, things they've experienced in and out of classrooms. And under the circumstances of America over the past 2 years and the pandemic we're going through, we'll even take a moment, probably at the very end of our basic academically oriented questions, to really ask for experiences of resilience and persistence. These are students who have, experienced a year or two of the COVID presence while in high school and during their first year, obviously, at the university. So we'll be very much interested in gathering those impressions, and perhaps they'll even be making recommendations to all of us. So on behalf of the university, we welcome you. In my capacities at the university, I'm currently a senior advisor to the University Provost for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And we could probably add to that accessibility issues. I'm a professor in the University Core in Africana Studies. I do teaching also through religious studies and the interdisciplinary studies program, in which courses such as the history of the Black Church and others. Peoples and Cultures of America is another popular option that many of my students are very much interested in. So we're going to start off today simply by asking the students to identify themselves, tell us who they are, where they are from, their homes, what their majors are, and what kind of future careers they are looking to have for themselves. So in any particular order, we'll just have the students go right ahead and tell us something about themselves first. Thank you.
I can start. My name is Caroline Lipton. I'm a freshman on the women's soccer team. I'm from Washington, D.C., and my major is business with a concentration in economics. And for the future, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. I might want to do something in finance or private equity eventually.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Janasia Carter. I'm from Jersey City. I'm a first generation college student. I'm majoring in political science on a joint BA JD track. So my future entails pursuing law as a lawyer. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm from the Bergen County area, and I'm a social and behavioral science major with a concentration in allied health, and I hopefully want to get my master's of science in occupational therapy.
And what is your name? You forgot to.
Saidis Martinez.
Thank you, Saidi.
Good morning. My name is Ryan McMullen. I'm from Woodridge, New Jersey, so Bergen County. I'm currently a first-year student majoring in diplomacy and international relations. I'm in a BSJD track, so I'm going to law school after this, and I definitely want to utilize my law degree to benefit public policy and the common good.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jocelyn Molina. I'm from Roxbury, New Jersey. I'm currently a business major also on the JD track, so I will be going to law school after this, and I hope to become a family lawyer.
Hi, my name is Sasha Roscoe. I am from Mount Olive, New Jersey. I am a political science major on the JD track, so I also will be going to law school after this, and I hopefully want to get into real estate law.
Okay. We want to thank everyone for being with us this morning, and we hope your parents and your friends and your professors, and as well as your academic advisors, perhaps even members of the enrollment services staff, tuning in this morning. Our first question, as it appears on your screens, deals with the level of academic challenge. And this may be one of those very appropriate areas in which, if we also wanted to incorporate feelings and the adjustments, transitions in this COVID environment, I think this would also be an appropriate place for you to insert that, as well as at the end of our program. The level of academic challenge. We ask you to identify as one of these premier benchmarks, challenging intellectual and creative work, which is central to student learning and collegiate quality. Colleges and universities promote high levels of student achievement by setting high expectations for student performance. So that while that is the standard, I think, once again, any reflections on those high expectations can be mentioned, as well as perhaps any difficulties that might have been encountered by any of you or that you perceived in other students that you might want to share. So feel free right now, in any order you would like to respond to that benchmark, please. Thank you.
I can go first. I would say that Seton Hall definitely has many different opportunities and many different tracks for students to challenge themselves and to really develop themselves academically. As a student in the honors program, I feel that things like my writing ability, my ability to critical think, my ability to look at different situations from different perspectives has really been challenged. I've really been able to develop that in ways that are, very unique and very creative, and that's something I've really appreciated. In terms of a challenging intellectual course load, I would definitely say that Seton Hall University can be challenging in terms of the course load, but I wouldn't say that it's so challenging as to make you feel unsupported, especially because we have such a great team of advisors and facilitators, so that if a student is falling behind, if a student is struggling, they have the resources that they need to really succeed and to thrive in this academic environment. And I think that that's a really important balance that Seton Hall strikes.
I can go next. Really similar to what Ryan said, we are challenged, and especially if you're in other things that just isn't specifically just being in school, it is more challenging. But like Ryan said, we do have teachers and such small classes where the teachers do know your name, and you can go up and ask for help, or go and see if you can go to there's office hours, or even go to the ARC and get help. Especially getting help from upperclassmen peers and any programs that you're in is also really helpful. But yeah, I think we have a really good community where we can speak to our faculty comfortably and always get help when needed.
I think we would mention also to anyone who's unfamiliar with the acronym, the ARC, that stands for the Academic Resource Center. Jocelyn, can you mention what are some of the activities and services that are offered by ARC that you are familiar with?
So personally, last semester I was having a lot of trouble in economics, so I would go on to Compass and make an appointment at the ARC to get tutoring. More recently, I made an appointment at the ARC for a writing center lab where I would get help writing my paper and kind of get constructive feedback.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So a little bit of a different take. Like, I think honestly, academic challenge wise, anywhere you go, you can challenge yourself. It really depends on what you make of it. College is what you decide to do with your track. And I think a lot of us have definitely decided to challenge ourselves and make that course load a little more rigorous, which is a great thing. You have the ability in college, though, no one is holding your hand and you're not forced to take certain classes and core classes. You're more focused on what you want to do. So you really have the opportunity here to push yourself, which is honestly the biggest adjustment I've found for myself and teammates, is that you're not going to have people holding your hand anymore, and you have to learn how to motivate yourself. Your teachers want you to succeed, but they're not going to hold your hand to do so. They're not going to chase you down for assignments. And personally for me, as a student athlete, I've had to adjust to now, whereas athletics were something that I did and was trying to get recruited for, now it is my job along with school. So both those responsibilities have increased exponentially with less restrictions around what I can do and when I can do it. And it's more up to me now.
Thank you.
For me personally, academically, I think that the biggest struggle that I had was adjusting to my teachers having different qualifications for how to get an A or a good grade. And it was difficult for me to adjust because I wasn't used to everybody having different criteria. So I spent a lot of time going to my teacher's office hours because I wanted to make sure that I was writing that in a way that they wanted. Because in high school, it's mostly like the same thing for every teacher, versus now I had to adjust to a different writing style, which actually ended up helping me become a better writer because I was used to using what they wanted, but also still putting in my own take, and that allowed for me to develop as a writer in general.
I've noticed that, yes, there have been challenges and expectations that the professors hold of the students, but at the same time, that's just how life is. And while we have had those challenges, even with COVID and academics wise, they do offer a lot of resources at this university, and I have been able to use them, at least myself. I'm taking a statistics class, and I've been able to use the math tutoring in the ARC Center every single week, and they've been able to help me with whatever I need, or even just with writing or anything like that. But they definitely have the resources that you need. So anything that they do give you that's a challenge, you are able to do it if you really set the time apart for it and are responsible to do it, because they're not giving you something that you can't finish or can't accomplish, because obviously that's not realistic, but they really do give you stuff that they know that will be a challenge in the process, but that you get to do and that it's worthwhile at the end.
So me personally, the last 14 years of my education was from the Jersey City public school system, and that kind of academic setting, the resources were few, and the little that we had, it was kind of provided to us. And I guess coming from that academic setting to a private school, Catholic at that, was a transition or like something that I had to adjust to. And the resources here at Seton Hall much better, and in terms of like all of the resources, academic support, out of the classroom, instruction, all of those were. It was something. It was there, but it was something that students had to go to, and I feel like people, or me personally, I made the most of my education by going to those resources and seeking those out.
Thank you all very much. We'll now move on to our second benchmark, active and collaborative learning. Students learn more when they are intensely involved in their education and are asked to think about and apply what they are learning in different settings. Collaborating with others in solving problems or mastering difficult material prepares students to deal with the messy, unscripted problems that they will encounter daily, both during and after college. Your responses and analysis, please.
I can go first for this. So personally, I'm in the Busina Leadership Program and MLKA, where we are often working in groups to solve problems. More recently in leadership, we did a project where we had to present it in front of deans and other classmates. And I think these programs like this, and even in class, really help you learn how to collaborate well in the work field, because you're never really going to have this kind of experience, especially in high school. You're really working with your friends, where in college you really get to work with people of all different walks of life, and you have to kind of learn how to deal with it, because not everyone is going to be as driven as you, or not everyone is going to be as motivated as you. So I really think within the classroom and within programs, we do get a lot of this.
Joshua, if you don't mind, can you, for those who may be uninitiated to understanding those 5 important letters, MLKSA, can you tell us what that stands for and what it is, please?
Martin Luther King Scholar Association.
Thank you.
And like Jocelyn, I'm also part of the leadership program. And as he mentioned, one thing that the leadership program does emphasize is collaboration. That's actually one of our pillars of the program. And we just started working on IDTs, which stands for interdisciplinary teams, in which you're working in groups with students from different cohorts and different classes. And what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to bring all of your skill set and your knowledge to really promote something for the university and, bring out your abilities. And honestly, it's learning where you fit in and how you can bring your unique skill set to really advance the project and hone your abilities. And the workload is hardly 50-50, but everyone must be giving all of their 100%. And another aspect is communication, communicating to your teammates, your abilities, your strengths, your weaknesses to really make the project come alive.
Thank you.
If I can step off of that, as an MLKA scholar similar to Jocelyn, as well as a at-large senator in the Student Government Association, I tend to find that a lot of what I work on outside of the classroom on campus in deals with how can we improve the university, what are the solutions we can find that work not just best for the people in my circle, but also for people with almost 7,000 students on campus who come from all different walks of life, all different experiences, all different wants, all different needs. So it's really about getting a deeper understanding of the people you work with, of the people you live with, of really putting yourself out there and trying to figure out what's best for your community. So it's a lot of collaboration with lots of different people. You really need to just, get out of your comfort zone a little bit to see different ideologies that you might not have experienced before. And it's really just about being open and accepting of new experiences.
Thank you, Ryan.
Talking more about the smaller scale collaboration on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily in like a club or an organization, just in the classroom. I think that a big difference in college is that you're not going to know everyone. I went to a really small private school and I knew everyone in my classes and was in other classes with them, walking in the hallways with them every day. But you can go a whole semester. If you don't try, you won't really know anyone in your class. So something I would really encourage is making those connections early on and really trying to. And of course, there are classes where you are just going to listen to the teacher and there's not really going to be much collaboration and activeness. But I had a class last semester, Journey of Transformation, which is a class that every student has to take at Seton Hall. And my teacher did a great job of really making sure that we connected with each other and had open class discussions, asked us questions every single time he called roll. He would ask everyone one specific question about themselves. And I think that you really need to take advantage of those situations because those connections that you make, whether it's the teacher or students, you never know how those can benefit you later on. You could be in a class later on that you need to do a group project. You could just be friends with this person and network with them later. I think that those connections, even though it's not necessarily a club or an organization, those are really important and something so easy and day-to-day that you can do.
Thank you.
I agree with Caroline. I've noticed that a lot of students are at least myself, sometimes I'm very shy or hesitant to talk to other students in my classroom. I haven't had the experience of collaborating with other students to work on a project yet, but even just like being in a classroom with other students and thinking that I'm in this in a boat by myself or struggling with something on my own. Honestly, there's a lot of students that are in the same position in your class, but you just don't know because you haven't had the chance to talk to them or get to know them. But I've encouraged a lot of my friends to take that step in their classrooms, and I've tried to do it as well because you never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to come across with, and that person might be able to help you or you might be able to help that person, or even just having that network is necessary, and it's also a great opportunity to have. So that's just how I can take from this question. But
I think that on a smaller scale, as they're talking about, it's been very beneficial for me with my classes because we do have open discussion most of the time, but at the same time, we also have a lot of group work. And if you're very shy, you don't get involved in the group work and you're not doing as much work as everybody else, and that's not necessarily fair. And I also think that I've always been somebody that kind of tries to get people to talk and to get involved because I never want somebody to feel like has to decide. So I think that's been like a big adjustment because in high school, I kind of already knew everybody. So it wasn't like I had to introduce myself and really get to know them right away because I already knew them. But here I've had to kind of introduce myself and ease people into like getting to know me and getting involved in the group work. But on a larger scale, I'm in Adelante. I've been trying to do a lot more community service hours, and I'm also a first-gen peer advisor. And especially with the peer advisor opportunity, I've never really been put in a situation and where I had to learn how to communicate with somebody on a more direct scale that mattered so much. And for me, my peer advisor was always somebody that I could reach out to and somebody that helped me get through a lot and kind of navigate my way through. So to know that I have to do that too now, it was a big adjustment, but I'm also learning a lot more about how to deal with people in certain situations, how to respond and how to help people properly.
I'm going to ask you just three things just for identification to the outside audience. Tell us, what is Adelante? You mentioned first gen and also peer advisor. So give us the context of those three.
So Adelante is a Latinx student association. Basically, it's just a place where a lot of Latinx students can come together and be around other Latinx students. First gen just means that I am the first in my family to go to college. So this whole entire experience is pretty new to not only me, but my family also. And peer advisors help other students kind of navigate their way through college. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like, peer advisors. So they're advisors that are also students.
Indeed, and I think they are associated with the Center for Academic Success, so that as new students are coming in June, they will meet an academic advisor as well as a peer advisor. And that's great. And I believe we also have actually a first gen organization and a whole program that is set up to support those students. Very good. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to our third question. Enriching educational experiences, which are complementary learning activities inside and outside the classroom, which augment the academic program. Experiencing, for example, diversity, students teaching students valuable things about themselves and other cultures. When used appropriately, even technology facilitates learning and promotes collaboration between peers and instructors. Internships, community service, capstone projects, perhaps, can provide students with opportunities to pull together, synthesize, integrate, and apply their knowledge. And such experiences make learning more meaningful and ultimately more useful because of what students learn as it becomes a part of who they are. So we may not, during your first year, you may not obviously have experienced all of those, but your reflections would be appreciated.
I can start. So you have to complete service hours for your first year of university life class, which is basically university life is a class that they talk about different resources on campus, how to adjust to college life, things like that. And so for my service hours, I was really busy with soccer, but I had one day where I completed pretty much my entire service hour requirement when I went to Harlem to work with a youth group. We have really great youth religious leaders, mentors. James personally was who took myself, my teammates, some of the baseball players as well. And we took the train into the city, took the subway to Harlem, and got to spend the day with a youth group playing outside with them, and then got to talk to them a little bit about our faith, how we translate that to our sport and to our college life, and got to participate in their service upstairs in the church afterward, which was really fun. And I think it's a great opportunity, those service hours, to do something like that. You don't have to do something as intensive and a really long time requirement. There are other options on campus, but I just think that service requirement really forced a lot of people out of their comfort zone and did things and made them realize they might want to do more of that.
Thank you.
I can go next. So similar to the service hours, MLKA, servant leadership, both require, MLKA requires 50 hours and leadership requires, I believe, 20 or 25 hours a year. So something like that really makes us kind of like she said, step out of our comfort zone with doing all these different kind of things. So I personally did a lot of things within like my hometown because I do commute to school. But I know other people it made them get more involved with Dove and go on trips and help people they would go and plant things, go to Newark, help students there, tutor students. So I do think requirement for community service is really helpful. Also on top of that, like I said before, I'm in the leadership program where we do kind of get the collaborative experience between peers and instructors, and that's the same thing with MLKA as well, I would say.
Thank you.
Going off of that, I feel like there are lots of educational experiences, both including community service and outside of community service, that offer lots of different opportunities for students to really find your place. As an MLKA scholar who also had the 50 community service hours requirement, I got involved with our local Upper Bound program, and I got to do lots of tutoring and mentoring with students, which is something I really appreciated. We have over 130 clubs and organizations on campus, which give people lots of different opportunities, lots of different experiences. We have lots of cultural organizations for people to really, find people they can relate to and who have a shared experience with them. In terms of higher education opportunities for later in your college career, I know I personally haven't started an internship yet, but I've been working with the Career Center because I want to pursue one for next semester, and they've really helped me, get my resume in order, really start preparing for applications, start preparing cover letters, and it's just been a really supportive experience, and they work with you every step of the way.
Thank you.
I personally do have an internship right now. I am serving as an intern for an immigration reform that we have here on campus that they're working to work with the church diocese and extend legal help to immigrants. So that's been an opportunity that I wasn't necessarily expecting my first year. It kind of came to me in a very simple manner, but early on, I think probably within my first 2 months being here, I immediately reached out to the people in the Career Center to see what I can do because I wanted to get involved in internships immediately. And they were really, really easy to contact. I've had a lot of meetings with Justin Cross, and he's helped me learn so much about the internships, where I should reach out to, how I should do it all. And it ended up working out in the end because now I have an internship. So it's been a really cool experience.
Thank you.
And I'll pick up where she left off. I feel like part of the college experience, we often just think about learning inside the classroom, but it's more so about getting involved outside the classroom as well. If that means like, going to events, activities, volunteer, as everyone else has mentioned. And I mentioned before I was part of leadership, and one thing that leadership is great about doing is bringing in professionals to have you talk to people, and also you reaching out to other people to get career advice and internship opportunities and stuff like that. And part of leadership, there was actually an event the other day. There was a research and scholarship fair where I went, and we learned about imposter syndrome as well. The idea that sometimes you don't belong in the room. And surprisingly, sitting in the room, I was talking to a lot of other first generation college students and first generation Americans. And when we were connecting with other individuals, we kind of really saw potential, and we got to network with a lot of great people. And so I just think it's the fact of, just getting outside, networking, and applying those skills to not only better yourself, but do better things for your community.
Thank you, Janisha. Students and their interactions with faculty members. Students can learn firsthand how experts think about and solve practical problems by interacting with faculty inside and outside the classroom. And as a result of this, their professors become role models, mentors, and guides for continuous lifelong learning. Your reflections on that, please.
I can start with that. Coming into this university, I always looked at professors or even faculties from a fearful perspective, where I would just be maybe scared to reach out to them, or just scared in general because it was my first time experiencing a university. But they actually aren't like that at all. They're role models to us, and they do have high expectations, but they allow themselves to be available for you, or even just include office hours, or they reach out if you're struggling, or they'll just email you with an encouragement or anything. But I was able to really experience that my first semester at Seton Hall, and I was just able to view mostly all of my professors as mentors, and I knew that I had the ability to email them if I had a question, or just like that they wouldn't be bothered by it, or that they were there to help me meant a lot, because it just changed how I viewed the class and how I viewed the situation that I was in. But that whole perspective that I had to come in to the university changed after my first semester at Seton Hall, because I was able to look at them as people that really wanted to see us do good, instead of how I was thinking that they wanted us to do bad. But that's not how the case is at all. They actually really want to see you strive and be successful.
Thank you.
I would like to go next. Coming into Seton Hall, I realized that, well, coming in, there was definitely a culture shock. Coming from Jersey City, it's actually very diverse. So I was oftentimes sitting in a classroom full of people who were not only like the first in the class or like the only, but then coming to Seton Hall, there was like a different type of only. Like I was the only Black female sitting in most of my classes. But soon I came to realize that there's a place for everyone, and part of Seton Hall's mission statement is diversity and inclusion. So it kind of gives students that platform and that opportunity to share their experiences. So something like this first year symposium, I felt like it was like a great opportunity to not only share my experiences, but help other people, come to terms with the environment and the setting. And I feel like diversity and inclusion, it helps promote better conversation, better discussion, and better quality learning experiences overall. Thank you.
I want to go back to something that Sarah said. With the fearful aspect, I think that a big difference when you come to college, in high school, it's a different type of relationship with your teachers, whereas your professors view you more as an adult when you're here. So those connections are so important. This is my favorite question, honestly. Last night I attended an event for She Can movement, which is for female athletes. And we had a 5 panelists who talked a lot about the cliche saying, it's all about who you know, which is super true when it comes to finding jobs, but it can also be useful here. Forming a good relationship with your professors can help you not only in their classes, but it can help you later on. I think that something that I did my freshman year, or my first semester of my freshman year, since I was going to miss some classes for traveling for soccer games, I introduced myself to every single teacher in the first week of classes, said, I'm on the soccer team. If I miss your class, I will make sure to reach out to you and make up my work. And those first initial conversations led to me going to their office hours, forming connections with these teachers, which can help me later on when I'm out working, or it can help me here if they have another class that I want to take, if I needed an extension on something and I had no time, or they rounded up my grade on something like that. When you have a good connection with teachers, it can help you in ways you don't even realize at first. And they can also just be a mentor to you and someone that teaches you things about what you want to do eventually, and someone that inspires you the way everyone else has been talking about. But you really do need to take advantage of those relationships, because it's something so unique in college that not everyone else will get. And especially since our class sizes are so small, it's really easy to connect with teachers.
Thank you.
So within the leadership program in MLKA, we have advisors and directors. And within the first semester, they soon become role models and mentors, and someone that we go to whenever we need anything. They're all a text away. And even if you're not in programs like this, you can still make these kind of connections with teachers. I have a professor that I still talk to from last semester who has really helped me whenever I'm struggling, especially in a specific subject. And with our, like I was saying before, with our class sizes, it's just so easy to go and email your professor and just ask for help, or see if you're not happy with your grade, see if they're willing to give you some kind of extra credit, or if they're willing to give you extra credit if you go and get the help. But obviously, if you don't take these initiatives, you're not going to get the most out of the small class sizes as you can.
Absolutely agree with Jocelyn's point that anyone is able to take advantage of these faculty relationships. It's not just about what specific program you're in or if you're involved in all these different things. And to kind of emphasize that, I really want to highlight the Center for Academic Success, which is a program for all first-year incoming students. We have a class called University Life, and all students are assigned a student success advisor from there, who really helps them, pick out their first classes, pick out what their track should be, and really kind of helps guide them from that high school experience to the college experience. I know I personally had Professor White. I'm grateful enough to be working as a peer advisor next year and to meet all of them. They're all incredible, wonderful people, and I really think that they help make the experience, like the transition from high school to college, so much easier and so much more streamlined. And I really just think that, college is all about making connections and meeting people who is going to help you in your journey and is going to help guide you in your journey. And just having that type of opportunity right at the beginning and to be able to make all these opportunities with all your different professors is something really important that Seton Hall really emphasizes.
When I think about this question, I honestly can't really help but think about my professor from last semester. I was taking Western Political Thought, and it was with Dr. Mott. And it was really difficult for me to adjust. The readings were a lot more difficult than I was expecting. It was very long and extensive, and it can be really hard to understand what philosophers are saying. So I really took the time to go to his office hours because honestly, in the beginning, I didn't even understand what I was reading. It was like 20 pages of philosophers talking, and I had no idea what they were saying. And I would go to him almost every single week for his office hours, and he would talk me through it in a more simplistic manner. And he also talked me through how I can improve my writing because we had an essay every single week that was 500 words. And oddly enough, it was more difficult than a long essay. And he was the main thing that like kind of helped me get through my writer's block, I guess, because I didn't know how to kind of transition from high school writing to college writing and how to incorporate all of those ideas that I'm learning. And I think that by me going to him for office hours, yes, it improved my writing, but it also made me a lot more comfortable in the class. So I was able to ask questions because I think that a lot of people get a lot of anxiety with asking questions in class. I was able to ask questions. I was able to participate better because I just felt more comfortable. And that transition to all of my classes with English, with Journey of Transformation, literally just every single class that I've ever taken since my first semester has been an effect of that class. And I think that in general, by applying yourself to talking not only with your faculty and students, but also with advisors, it also helps you feel more comfortable here because it can be very easy to feel like you don't belong.
Thank you for that honesty and transparency, by the way. Looking at the culture of the campus and the entire campus environment, students can perform better and are more satisfied at colleges that are committed to their success and cultivate positive working and social relations among the different groups on campus. Your experiences and responses, please.
I can go first. I think this really correlates with mainly all the other questions where Seton Hall is really committed to all of our success, whether it's within programs or through faculty members. Like we all just spoke about before, these faculty members really do want us to succeed. It's all about us taking the initiative to want to succeed. But yeah.
I definitely agree that with Jocelyn's point that it really just ties into like everything else we've been talking about. I really find that, if a student is really struggling and if a student is really having issues, that campus will really be there for them. I know personally I had really struggled with my mental health at the start of the semester. Just my academic anxiety and the pressure just came to be a lot. I actually went to Counseling and Psychological Services, which is a free support system that's open to all students, and it was something that really helped me just kind of get back on my rhythm and feel ready to keep pushing forward. And I really think that Seton Hall recognizes that students have different needs. Students are going to be in different places, and they'll support you no matter what your journey is.
Thank you for your transparency on that, Ryan.
Yes, and I kind of answered this question in my last response, but going back to like the faculty, Seton Hall is definitely, it allows people to, find their place, and the faculty, they definitely make themselves available. So even if it means just stopping to their office hours, and really just getting to know your professors, the faculty members, your deans, those kind of really kind of go into making that inclusive environment for everyone to just thrive and excel academically.
Thank you.
Sorry. I also think that going off of that, it's also very easy to figure out like how to contact these people. I think a lot of times in maybe bigger universities, it can be a little bit more difficult to see who your deans are, who all of these people are, and what their emails are to actually reach them. But at Seton Hall, it's almost like advertised that reach out to us and they want you to talk to them. It's very inviting. And I also, like Ryan, had a lot of academic anxiety, and I also went to CAPS, and it was a more transformative experience because I had no idea that I could ask for help, and I didn't really know if it was normal to feel the things that I did, and it almost made me feel abnormal, and I felt like maybe that's also why I didn't belong. And it helped a lot to be able to speak to my advisors, speak to CAPS, speak to my professors, and it just made it very easy to feel better about the work that I'm putting out.
And I think it's normal to feel scared that you're not going to be like a successful student, or just have like the pressure that you might have in your semesters. But like everyone has been mentioning, we do have like these resources that want us to be successful. And even if you head into Compass, where you can set up appointments with these advisors or your professors, it has a list of who's on your academic team and who's your peer advisor, or who's your just academic advisor or your career advisor. And so just having that list there with access to them is so important, because that way, like, students don't feel like they can't look for those resources because they don't know who they are, or they have to start asking questions. Like, they're already there for you because those people are there to help you throughout your 4 years at the university. And even just my first semester, having a peer advisor was so helpful. Like, just asking her simple questions, she was always there to help me. And even like the simplest questions that you might not want to ask a professor, you might not want to ask your academic advisor, the peer advisor was there to help you with that. And that was very important for me and helped me a lot throughout my first semester at Seton Hall.
Similar to what everyone else is saying, with all of those more administrative or school affiliated resources, there's also, with students, you have all of these clubs and opportunities, and honestly, there's a lot of places on campus that you can just be that make you feel supported. When it's warm outside, people being on the green, and there's games outside or things to participate in. Personally, for me, I have the Athletic Academic Center, which has been super helpful for me, and we have things like sports psychologists. I have an academic sport person that I meet with every single week to talk about my grades with. There are just so many resources, but even apart from being an athlete, all these resources that they're talking about, I've had access to as well. So I've felt so supported in my first year transition. And not only just with, again, those people that are in charge or administrators, I have students, teammates, friends from all different parts of campus, and that's been very beneficial to me.
If any of you would like to take a moment, just because we heard some interesting comments about Caroline and the sports teams going over to Harlem, if any of you would like to take a moment just to reflect on any of your service opportunities and just to paint a picture of what that was like and what impact it made on you and how that might condition you for your second year at the university, please take a moment to do that.
So I did community service nearby, and a lot of it was like food pantries or food banks. And there was my last one that we kind of had like stations set up, and people came and they not only got groceries, but I helped hand out like hot lunch basically. And it was Probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. It taught me a lot about gratitude, and not in the way of like, oh, be thankful for what you have, but it's more so seeing people that are so happy in the morning. Like it was nice to interact with people and they were so happy and they were so thankful for everything that they had. And it almost made you feel like you were doing something that was way greater than it seemed. Because at first it just seems like, oh, like I'm just helping people out. But it's almost like you're helping somebody by giving them like a little blessing in their life, in their day. And it was interesting for me, and I had a really fun experience with talking with all the people I had. It's got to a lot of conversations with a lot of the people that came, and it was just fun to be around people that were so thankful for anything that they were receiving.
Thank you. Anyone else? This reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King was, he says, life's most persistent question is, what are we doing for others? Not so much what are we doing for ourselves. So we want to thank you all for taking time for being with us this morning. On behalf of the Petersheim Academic Expo, our 2022 edition, and our observing our 26th anniversary, we want to thank you and the community for being with us today. And we hope that through the presentation of these first year students, we've gotten a little bit more insight to their first year experience. And that for those of you who service first year students, we hope that this will inform our relationships and our interactions with all of those who are going through their first year experience. Class of 2025 that all of these students represent is also historically significant in that Seton Hall, founded in the year 1856, this was the largest freshman class that we've ever experienced. So we look forward to the impact they're going to make on the university and ultimately the impact they're going to make on the world. So on behalf of the Petersheim Committee, we want to thank you all very much for being with us this morning. May God bless us all in the journey of life. Thank you so much.